Hey everyone, welcome to another behind the scenes. This time it's Trust, which is my CJ15 submission. You spawn in this room. It's just a cylinder with a cap that's a different material. I don't know why this room exists like this. I just made it really quickly. First thing you'll notice is there's two teleporters. One says be guided and one says guide. The theme for CJ15 was all about emotions, and Trust is a kind of complex emotion, so I wanted to play over here. It kind of strays a little bit into I made a game about it. Other people made art pieces or visual displays of that emotion, but I think it still qualifies. The instructions here: choose one player to enter the guide teleporter. The rest should go in be guided. Try to make it across the room. Do you trust your guide? So if you go first of all here to be guided, these use character teleporters. I couldn't figure out how to alter the exit point rotation, so you'll see here I face the corner. Ideally I want you to face here, but I couldn't figure that one out. If anyone knows, let me know. There's also return to spawn here. There's loads of those. There's also ones in the guide area up there, and there's also one over there. So you'll see here, here's a finger troubles here. There we go. You'll see here that there is a platform to go across, and it looks solid, but if you walk through it, you'll see there's holes. And you don't know where the holes are. You can sometimes get lucky by jumping, but that won't get you far, as you can see. When you fall into the lava below, it's actually just another character teleporter that sends you back to the start. So this mostly uses character teleporters everywhere. It does it as like a death event without actually respawning you, so it's kind of fluid. And then there's no hitch as your avatar respawns. Let's hop back to return to spawn, and then we're going to go into guide. Again, I couldn't get the rotation right, so I had to put this note here so people knew they had to go to here. So here you'll see current guide, and if I hit become guide, my name appears here, and then when I turn around, you'll see I can now see the floor. The green tiles are solid, and the red tiles are not solid. If I hit randomize floor here, see if I can do that. Yep, there we go. You'll see they're changing. That's just so you can reset the puzzle between sessions. Again, you'll see return to spawn here, return to spawn at the end. Let's go over to the end, because I'm not going to make it by myself. At the end, there's no prize, it's just return to spawn. I think the prize is in the doing rather than the end result. That's an overview of how it works. Let's go into a technical behind-the-scenes overview of how various things work. So I'm going to go over the character teleporters first. They're super simple, they're used everywhere. They're usually green as well. I don't know if it's just sort of some weird assurance that we've got from the community right now. I'm sure we'll see that change, but whenever I see them, they're green. So here is the guided teleporter, and you'll see there's the text parented to it. That's just so that they move as one. Here is a character teleporter component. You can find that under locomotion, interaction, character teleporter. And then here you can see the teleport exit is just a slot. That slot is an empty object over in the room. I've got transform rotation on, which I thought would make you face the same way, but it didn't. Please help me, someone. You also want to make sure relative exit point is disabled unless you've got a nice setup. So relative means that it would spawn you relative to where you are. That's problematic. I just leave it off, and it means it operates on more global coordinates. I also set teleport exit velocity to 0. What that means is a bit like the game Portal. When you run through a portal, your velocity is the same when you exit. I didn't want that case, but it does allow for that. That's how the portal gun works. It has that enabled, disabled. You can add multiple exits for a character teleporter and then change their weights, and that kind of does a sort of random teleport sort of system. I'd be interested to see someone do that. The Pokemon gym, I don't remember the city name, it's been many years since I played Pokemon, but it's the Psychic Pokemon gym where you have to go through the floor tiles, and there's a pattern, and then all the strategy guides, etc. had labeled A to Z, or where it goes, A goes to A, B goes to B, etc. It was a big map. So you can add there more rooms. What does this do? I don't know what that does. It just says list and then colon. Great. Here, minimum velocity is how fast you need to be moving to go through it. If you've that 0, you don't need to. When I was looking at this, the first thing that came to mind was actually just a meme, which is the Back to the Future films, where you need to go 88 miles per hour. You could enter 88 there, and then you'd have to accelerate to 88 before you went through the portal, and it would work. I'm not sure not kind of sure what that's for. The direction reference is probably what's causing my direction problems, to be honest. I'll have to try and mess around with that one. I don't know what the direction angle is, but take a look and play around. Once you've got this set up, it can kind of work. Sometimes I don't know what every part of a component does. I just play around until I find it. I also don't know what these are. I think you can, like, if I pull them out with logics, it'll tell me what data type they are, at least. Yeah, they're an action, so we can't use actions. Yeah, actions are, like, as far as I understand it, like some sort of function call. And if you see action here, you can't. You see that. You'll see that on some other components. They get wired up by C# code rather than logic or components. So let's hop through, because that's it for the character teleport. I will show you the exit point, which is here, where I'm standing. So if I go ahead and inspect the root of the world here, you'll see I can go out of the spawn room to the platformer room to the room, and then you'll see, I think it's this one. Yeah, there we go. So it's just a blank game object here, or slot with nothing in it, and this just references where the teleporter starts. Interestingly enough, I was facing this way when I landed, which is X. Oh, I don't know. Like, if you know how to fix that, let me know. You'll see here that the return to spawn teleporter is exactly the same, just a character teleporter. I duplicated them and then moved them around. Especially these two, I just duplicated and went up and then left with two. So there's one there, and one there, all duplicated. That's it for the teleporters. The next part is like how this works. So I want to talk about, first of all, how the individual square works, and then how the room itself works. So if we go to the floor here, no, the floor is the boxes that represent the edges here. Where is the, there it is, aligner. This lags a bit like an avatar inspector because there's so many elements. I will go to the top and show you what's going on here, but then I'll collapse it. So if we load the aligner here. Oh, that's rough. You'll see here that it is doing a object grid aligner when we get to the top here. Object grid aligner, I haven't done a video on that one yet. It's a, or maybe I have. I don't seem to remember doing it, but we'll see. I'll go double check. Object grid aligner just aligns stuff in a grid. And so here I've said the items per row is 5. The reason why this is driven is because there's some logics which basically works out how many boxes we need. And it's controlled by the items per row 5. And then you'll see here cell size is 2 by 2, which is actually the size of the box as well. They are 2 by 2 in Neos units. Mid and pos don't matter in this case, but I left them as they are. And so all this does is arrange 5 boxes per row, and it goes that way. That's it for the object grid aligner. I'm going to go out of that and go into the template. The template is just one box by itself. I don't actually know where it is in the world. Oh, it's right there. Cool. I can just bring this up here. Quite sure why it's invisible. Mesh renderer, it shouldn't be invisible, but it is invisible. Oh, that's because it's over there. Let's reset its position. There we go. So here you'll see a box, and it's just a straightforward box. It has a scale. Visual. So the visual is just the visual representation of it. It's a box mesh. It has 0.1, so it's a bit thinner, and it has a box collider with a character collider. You'll see here character collider is being driven, and it gets driven by this logic chain here, and this logic chain is that's not what I meant to do. That's what I meant to do. It basically says get the index of child, which is basically it counts where it is in the hierarchy. So the first box here is 0, and the 100th box is 99, and it will get that number from index of child. And it gets the character from this value down here. Let me go grab it. Now this value is in the room controller, but I will spawn it out here. You'll see it's just a long string of zeros and ones where 1 is green and 0 is not green. And so it gets that character and it says like, hey, is this 1? And if it's 1, you'll set an asset multiplexer to 2 or 1, and then it will enable or disable the character collider on the box collider there. So if you go to the visual of the box here, you'll see there's an asset multiplexer. Is it up here? Yeah, it's up here. So here, asset multiplexer slot 0 is what the guided people see, which is just a gray tile. 1 is red, and then 2 is green, but also the tile pattern. The asset multiplexer has a value user override on it. And the value user override here is set to me, and that's what controls me being able to see the colors and everyone else being able to see nothing else, because I'm writing the value here and also the user here. The way that I'm doing that is I have, it's on the template object. I don't know where I put the value copy. Is it up here? Values override, logics reference. Right, on that. Really know where that's put. Let me check one of the boxes in the actual aligner, because the template might be out of sync. No, you see here again, it's just over, and I don't know what's causing that. I'll double check through the room logic, maybe, in a second. It's like been a couple of weeks since I wrote this. So something we'll find out when we look at more logics is writing a user reference to this user slot here, and then also driving this value here. Any other logics node somewhere that might be doing it? Yes, there is. Here it is. Figured it out. I just didn't have the logic. So here I've got a reference field. So a reference field is part of the data fields. I'll go over those in a tutorial video, but the reference field is a reference to another value, and so here it's a reference to a user, and I just drive that straight into the user ref here of the value user override. So if I grab this here, or is it, no, I think it's this one here. It spawns a user ref here, and then I can write, because it's a reference to a reference. Oh dear, there we go. Reference to reference, I can just drive those directly across. And so that's what's doing it. So this reference field is set by that button up there. We'll go over that shortly. So to recap, a value user override set, and it will also drive the value of the asset multiplexer. You'll see that the default value of the asset multiplexer here is 0. So anyone that doesn't have an override here sees the 0 material is in the gray, and that's how that works. Let's take this inspector upstairs, and here you'll see the become a guide and guide here. Here it is. So reveal this one. Looks like that's actually out here, maybe down here. Cool, it's down here. So all this does here is it will, when you push the button, it will write the local users and the user who pushed the button into that reference field, and then it will dereference that reference using this. I'll talk about references more in a tutorial video, but dereference that reference to an actual user. We get user username, and then we chuck that into the box up here. And that's how current guide here, probable prime, works. That's it for the references. Sorry about the mix up there and where the reference was. It helps when you know where your logics is. It turns out it was in the ground. Now onto actually how the path works. So the path itself is controlled here by this path variable here. And it's just a bunch of variables or a slot, and it's just controlled by a bunch of logics, which I again have no idea what it is. It looks like it's here. Oh no, it's here. Cool. So here it just goes for when a button event is pushed, so when the button is pushed. Run a for loop 200 times, and then it will, first of all, it clears the string. So this here is loop start. So that's when the loop starts. I'll do a tutorial on loops at some point. So it clears the string at the start of the loop, and then for each iteration of the loop, so each for 200 times, it will take a random int between 0 and 2. A random int between 0 and 2 actually just does 0 and 1 because it's bounds, so it doesn't include 2, it's up to 2, so 0 and 1 because it's just an int. And it writes that value using toString and plus into that variable over here. Let's bring it with me. So it writes it into that data variable here. No, it doesn't. What's that bit? Oh, this bit up here, sorry. So it just takes this string plus the next item in the randomization, writes it to the string until we have 200 characters. So here you'll see if I do a pulse here, you'll see here that the string gets randomized again. Down here is just a bit of maths I did to kind of figure out like how many boxes I would need and what the rows should be. It also lets me change the items per row without opening up that laggy inspector. I can just change that and it will change the grid. That's all there is to the randomization of the path. I'm going to go back in now that you know how this is being randomized with this for loop here. And then the box logic should make more sense here. Over here. So it gets the index of the child, which is basically the point where it is in the string, and it gets the character in that string from that index. And if that's 1, it's able to be walked on, and if it's 0, it's not able to be walked on. And that's all there is to it. I built this kind of modularly. You can see that you can extend the path by just duplicating slots. You change this number to a higher number, and then you duplicate slots within the aligner component there to add more going out. If I grab this 5 here and bring it in, and I change this to, say, 1, you'll see we now get a really long path, and that's the object grid aligner. We can also go to 4, and you'll see we've got a gap. And then say 3, and there's a bigger gap. So you could do all sorts of like parkour setups with this kind of setup. If I go through here, you'll see it's continuing along. That's it. I built this really quickly, so a lot of stuff was just kind of rough and thrown together. But I like how like modular it is, in that, you know, the boxes don't need to know about the path logic, and the path logic don't need to know about the boxes. They're completely separate. They talk to each other through reference fields and value fields. I will go over those in a tutorial, perhaps next actually. I'm looking for more tutorials to record today as it's Saturday, so you'll know them more about those soon, hopefully. That's it for Trust. Let me know what you think. If you like these videos, do let me know. These get filed into the behind the scenes list on the playlist on my channel. So we have the tutorials list, which is like directed instruction, and then behind the scenes, which is honestly just me rambling for a long time. I hope it helps. See you later.